Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, and welcome back, Adam Martin, for another episode of our talk show. Make sure you catch it all on YouTube and on our socials, and thank you for all the support you've given us so far this season. The first London game is in the book. We've had it. I was about to say Denver Broncos, but that is to come. The Minnesota Vikings against the Cleveland Browns. Minnesota winning 21-17. We attended as media. Which is absolutely fantastic. It was a pretty uninteresting game. I didn't even realize you bought tickets because you jokingly said, well, with Ray's playing halftime, I'm going to go. And I didn't think you were being serious, really.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah,
text us like, yeah, we're just in our seats. And I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were there, sort of thing.
Yeah, we went. Wife's a fan of Ray, and I don't mind her either. I think she's pretty good. So one of the bigger names for the halftime show. And aside from Quinshon Judkins, probably the most impressive part of the whole day, really. There was not a lot of action to it, which was a shame. But, I mean, it's the Browns, wasn't it? And we knew that it was going to be Carson Wentz for the Vikings. So we kind of knew the game wasn't going to be amazing. So.
I don't know why, but I was a little surprised at how Viking dominant the fan base was.
Yes, very. Where we were, really dominant. I was surprised.
They've just all come from Dublin.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. So we were saying, and we were sort of like, whilst we were in the crowd, we sort of said that it's funny that when the Skull chant started, how much it was sort of like a Vikings home game to a certain extent is what it felt like. And it was a little bit like, we were sort of like walking back from the stadium going, I wonder how many people have made it like a 10-day holiday sort of thing, and they've gone to Dublin and then they've come over to here. And there was a lot of Americans. You can hear from the voices walking around, a lot of Americans, a lot of American Viking fans. So yeah, I think that's probably what's happened.
Yeah, I do think, as much as we want as many UK people to fill it, or European people to fill it, I suppose there's always a lot of Germans, French, Austrians that are Spanish as well, I suppose now, that do come to the game and buy tickets. But it is the Americans that make it in a way. It is that American home fan thing that does make it more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I've got. Why would you have a problem with it? It's like fair play to him for coming over and traveling and stuff like that. I mean, you see it, don't you, with a lot of like, you see with the Premier League, you got European games, you get like people from over here go to the away ends and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't see what the issue is with Americans coming in and watching it over here. If anything, it kind of just adds a different dimension to the crowd, doesn't it? And stuff like that, which is not a bad thing. And I mean, from some of the reactions of yesterday, they might need a few more Americans on the way it came across. Anyway,
I mean, we'll stick with the game for the second, and then we'll talk about the larger picture of London itself, I suppose. But I mean, the press conference was fun. Unfortunately, didn't get to do any of the pre-practice presses this week. Unfortunately, I couldn't make any of them. But press conference was good. Sky commented upon with Justin Jefferson that he has that arrogance to him.
Yeah.
But he comes across incredible in press conferences. He's very good at them. And not in arrogant, and you can tell he knows he's the best, or thinks he's the best at least, and always brings that juice and stuff like that. And there's the bling and that sort of aspect, of which I did joke around. Jonathan Grenard was on the podium before. I will try and post this today. I'm going to try and post the press conferences for the questions I asked. But one of my question as he left is Jefferson came in and was on the side. And of course, he's got the huge jet. It's blinding as soon as he comes in. And I saw Grenard had like a couple of chains on underneath his like thing. And I said, "Oh, Jonathan, but before you go, obviously we're about to get a lot of bling come onto the stage. Do you want to maybe show off your your jewelry before you go, you show, and he like, and Jefferson said something like, go on, John, like, come on, Grenard, do it. And John was like, no, I'm not really that guy, not my thing. More of a subtle jewelry sort of guy. I like my watches and stuff like that. And it was like very fun. And Grenard was great at the podium as well. I mean, I asked him quite a ballsy question of saying like, look, you win the game, great to get the W, but you're allowed 140 rushing yards. Not, that's a problem, isn't it? And he was like, yeah, unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. We've got to work on that. Our running defense at the minute is not up to scratch. And, it's hard in these press conferences because we are mindful of, you've got to ask the right questions. And if you're going to ask a negative question, you've got to structure it in the right way. You can't just come out and be like, your run defense is terrible. You just can't do that. You're not going to get the answer. And also, we're very, very privileged to get this media access. And that's a very surefire way of not getting the media access. Yeah. Is you pissing off the people. And they answered fantastic. I will die on the hill of Kevin O'Connell's the best person I've ever. I've been very lucky to have met and interviewed and watched a lot of people at the podium now. I'm very, very lucky to have done that. Best person by a mile at the podium. And he was the same again. It was the exact same again.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because he does come across as quite a sort of like, he's very willing. He's very sort of like a genial type of guy who's very sort of like kind of understanding to the media and willing to sort of like give out any sort of information.
Knew all the Minnesota media's names.
Yeah. That's something that you do. I mean, like obviously, you would know that sort of thing from being there, but it kind of it does feel very much like he comes across like that, and it's actually quite a. It's something that I think you see. Like for me, Packers fan, Matt LaFleur is a little bit like that. Sean McVay, it's very much that sort of coaching tree, isn't it? They're all kind of a little bit like that, and they're all sort of willing. I mean, there's a few that maybe are a little bit different. I mean, like someone like Mike McDaniel, who's come from that tree, is a little bit different. But the vast majority of them do seem to be like that, and yeah, I mean, it's only a good thing. There's no sort of. I don't see the point of, if you're a head coach, getting sort of like snarky at the media and stuff like that, and because they're just going to write loads of stuff about you.
Part of the job. It's part of the job. When
yeah, exactly. You got to get used to it.
You're going to have that, and I say this all the time. He talks in a way to you that is simple but not patronizing, and intricate but not difficult. He strikes that balance really well. Of talking about football to football, but his knowledge is obviously insane. He was ex-player, head coach. Your ball knowledge is going to be crazy, isn't it? But he doesn't dumb it down to the point where it's like, he even said in his thing, like he said something about like how I'm very much simplifying these words, but it's a bit of a joke that how much they think that American football is the be-all end-all sport of the world, and it really isn't, and that part of the job of doing this international stuff is to grow the game, because it's not the biggest sport in the world. And he was very, very, very clear on that. And like I said, I've dumbed down what he said. His answer was far more eloquent than what I've just said there, for sure. But he just comes across so well. And then in terms of gameplay, I mean, Quinshon Judkins, man, he's one of the most impressive north to south runners I've seen in live. Like considering, I know there was some problems at the start of the year and stuff like that, and we're not going to go into detail on that, but he just takes the ball by the horns, doesn't he? He's strong, physical, quick. It just felt like anytime he ran direct, he would get even more yards. He could break the tackle and go and go and go. So impressive.
Yeah, well, I think the one. Sorry, go on.
If it weren't for the impressive play of people like Emeka Egbuka at the minute, you could argue offensive rookie of the year. I think already you could put him in that conversation for me.
I think the really impressive thing that it's weird. I mean, obviously you do see it on TV and stuff like that, but when you see it live in front of you, the ability to change from one foot to the other so quickly, and then just to do that little juke step across and then bang, and then you're gone. And it's like, and multiple times especially in that first quarter, but also like because he sort of disappeared for the second quarter, he didn't really do much, and then he sort of came back in the second half and had a couple more big chunk runs. But multiple times it was like, if anyone is going to do anything on this field, it's going to be him. And that was kind of, and you can't just, obviously Jefferson had some great catches as well.
I do have to say that about Njoku as well. He has that.
Yeah, he did
has that
game changing. He did have he did seem quite motivated in Njoku. He seemed quite up for it, and he did sort of he did have a couple of good catches. I think that the problem with the receivers was very much that they were sort of hamstrung by the quarterback play. Which
what did you think? Rookie start,
I didn't really think he did much, to be honest. I felt like it was so run heavy that it kind of became. And it's funny because when you actually look at the stats, it was 32 carries for the run game, but he had 33 attempts.
Yeah.
But it did not feel like that at all. It felt like it was all run game, and a lot of them are sort of.
He has no long ball. He has
no, not at all.
It's all underneath. It's all underneath.
It was all dump offs, wasn't it?
Unfortunately, in the NFL, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. If you do not have that ability to stretch the field, you're just not. It's just dink and dunk football, and the Browns don't need that. The Browns don't need. They don't need dink and dunk football. They need a quarterback that can drive them down the field if they're going to be effective on this offense. And so we won by Joe Flacco, age, everything like that, can push the ball down the field. Shedeur Sanders, I didn't watch him. I know you hate him. I hate strong word, but you don't think he's good. And then Dylan Gabriel, you were like, oh, he's all right. And actually, when I watched him, I was like, yeah, he's all right. He's exactly what you and Andrew pitched him to be. But I thought he was controlled in the right way. I thought he looked calm. I think it's a massive testament how calm he looked, I thought, to keep going. And I know you said he had it off, but to still make them dink and dunk plays, you've got to do it. He avoided a lot of sacks. Which helped, which probably was amplified by the fact that Collins on the defensive line for the Browns seemed to just be eating up Wentz at times.
Yeah, I thought all right is probably the right word for him. He was okay, sort of thing. It was like you say, it was very much dink and dunk sort of thing. It was just sort of like chucking it down to the running back, or you had your tight ends, because he had a couple of throws to Fanning as well, where it was like, and I think that can get you to a certain point, but like you say, it won't get you all the way. Ironically, I actually, having watched Gabriel play, I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, but I could imagine if they don't win in the next sort of 2-3 weeks, I think Sanders is going to get chucked out there. And I've watched Sanders on tape, sort of thing. Having watched him, he does have more of a long ball, and he can do all the passing down to the running back and the short passes to the tight ends in the same way that Gabriel can. And the problem that I have with him, which I actually think with Sanders, there's some real easy stuff that can be sorted out, and he can become an okay quarterback in the NFL. His problem is he holds on to the ball for too long. That's his problem. He never understood at Colorado that you can throw the ball away. And it's just a college thing. Sometimes they just take forever to get rid of it. But yeah, I think that. So I think he will end up playing, but yeah, I don't see it working. There wasn't much there, I think, was the big problem. And the fact that Quinshon Judkins had 23 carries, and as I said, he pretty much disappeared for the second quarter. That's a lot of work for one guy. I mean, that you're talking like Derrick Henry numbers there, and I think that they will continue to use that run game as much as they can, and you'll probably see that the tight ends will get involved, because that's pretty much all Gabriel can do.
Well, let's get on to the controversy of the day. And again, we feel as a UK podcast, we have to talk about these things, and we should talk about these things. And I think there is a lot more intricacies to all of these things, and maybe we're going to talk about. And I can't push blame on things. There's people up the tree that I'm not going to push blame on because I don't know it well enough. You were more well informed due to social media than I was. I was obviously having to report on the game. However, I did see verbally and I saw visually the cues and stuff like that. But the one app, which I assume is the NFL One app, went down, and people that didn't download their ticket then couldn't get their ticket and were instructed to go to the ticket office, which formed incredibly huge queues, of which I did see a little bit of verbal abuse is maybe a strong word, but they were definitely exercising their right to be upset. Subsequently, fans who had them errors have been given 50% off gift card of the face value. A lot of it we have followed through the X handle, Twitter handle of @NFL_UK_tickets, who have been pretty, I would say, pretty good with a lot of things that they say. They're not always harsh; they're quite fair at times. I mean, the also rumor is it's not going to be used for the Jets Broncos game this weekend coming up. Now, I think we're on a very interesting tandem at this point. Sorry, that's not the right word, really. Interesting a moment for the London games where we are seeing so much success around Europe and hearing so much success around Europe and what they're doing there. The London games now, the biggest cry out is people going, we need bigger and better teams, bigger and better matchups now. And then things like this happen. And for people who are spending a lot of money, the whole ticket thing in general is upsets people. But it's an upsetting time in the UK at the minute. Money is scarce. Morale is an all-time low. How do we boost morale? By doing things that make us happy. And then when you try and do the thing that makes you happy, it's getting ruined for a lot of people. You had your own problems aside from getting in. That was more of a slip of the mind issue, I suppose. I mean, what was your? I was obviously in the media, and we are a little bit disattached from it all. Was there people around you? Did you feel like there was empty seats when kickoff came? I mean, it was. There's lots of things on Twitter saying that people were getting told that the game was going to be delayed for them, that they weren't going to get in even to the game. 2,000 people in the queue. I mean, a lot of this, we must add, is complete social media words written and anger. And I urge anyone to not believe everything they see on social media or the internet for that fact. So I know this is when there's two of us, it's more a discussion, but the question is, there is a question to you of what was your fan experience of that?
Yeah, it was. So we turned up probably a bit late compared to what most people would. We didn't really get to the stadium till about 10 to 2. And like I said, we kind of had our own thing where just completely and utterly forgot about the clear bag policy. So we had to go in, get a clear bag and all that. So we did that. However, the big problem is that so from what I've seen and what I saw myself, we turned up and there was a massive queue of people. And we were a little bit like, what the hell is this? Is it? At first, we thought it was for Beavertown, which I'm sure they would have been thrilled with. But we got closer to the stadium, and then we were like, what is this massive queue for? This makes no sense whatsoever. And it turned out it was for the box office because the app had gone down. Now, what had happened was that the whole thing just stopped working, apparently. No one could access their tickets. What I will say, because there were people that were coming out saying, we can't do it, we can't get our tickets, we can't access it. I downloaded my tickets and we downloaded it to the Google Wallet. And the reason that I did that was because it did say that you can do that. That was. I had a look again this morning when I looked back on it, and it does say you can transfer them to your Google Wallet or to your Apple Wallet if you want to do that. However, the wording on the NFL Pass One app was that you don't need to do that because you have you have it here, and that should be good enough. So that's where I think a lot of confusion has come in, because people haven't downloaded it to a Google Wallet or an Apple Wallet, which is understandable considering what happened. What I then had is, once we got to the point where we were trying to get in, there felt like, to me, it felt like the stewarding, they didn't really know what was going on. There seemed to be a lot of confusion. We actually had a group, about 5 or 6 people, who were not, middle-aged, not young, not old. One guy had it on his phone. He clearly hadn't sent them, out to everybody, or if they had sent them out to everybody, they couldn't access it probably because the app wasn't working. And in the end, they just ended up barging through the stewards and going through the first line of stewards before they got to the metal detectors and all that. And it did kind of like,
which is behaviour you can't condone, really.
Exactly.
No matter how angry you are, how much money you've spent, you've got. It's frustrating, but something can be solved. There's no point reverting to anger or anything like that, because it's just not.
No.
But I understand. I get.
I think what I would say is that I can imagine that he has had it up to here with trying to deal with it, trying to go, as I say, talking to stewards who just didn't really seem to really know what was going on, and people being sent off to other people who didn't really know what was going on, and just complete confusion. And there were people online were saying that they had been queuing up since like 12:15, 12:30, couldn't get in. We're really struggling with this. So a bit of a nightmare all round. Apparently, as you said, from what I've seen, for this Sunday, the NFL One Pass app isn't going to be happening, although that's not been confirmed. And it seems like they're going to be emailed their tickets, and they will be able to then transfer them across into a Google Wallet or an Apple Wallet, which is what we all did last year, and it wasn't a problem. So
the argument people are coming with straight away, and it's a bit of tongue in cheek I've seen online, is whatever happened to the paper ticket. Now, I get that, understand that, very valid, but from an eco standpoint,
it's never going to change.
It is better. It is better putting them on your phone. The whole football, football in general at the highest level now isn't paper. It's not paper.
Mm-hmm.
They're all on you have your season ticket on there. You don't get your book or the wad anymore.
No.
Your ticket.
No.
From an ecological standpoint, it is better. You're not killing the trees. It's a lot of paper. It's a lot of cardboard, isn't it? But I do get also, it's a sentimental value thing. I love keeping my tickets as well. I love.
You can get one, can't you?
Which you can, you can get one. If you go to the box office, I believe you can get a printed ticket. Which, I mean, the ones for Tottenham, we get given a paper ticket for our seat in the media, but they're not like not branded. They're Tottenham Hotspur, the stadium branded. They're not like NFL branded. Not like the cool ones that you used to be able to get. But so I get where that is. But we're in a world now where it does happen with this way. But it'd be very interesting to see if this happens in the US. I don't know. For me, Tottenham Hotspur Football Ground hosts Tottenham Hotspur football team every single week. Are they using the same companies? Are they using the same companies for stewards? Are they using the same, surely there's got to be a relationship there. Maybe it is. Maybe I could be completely wrong on that. I don't know any detail on that. But there's clearly a discourse, and it's upsetting to me, because the London games, what it really didn't need was any bad PR.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because there's people on social media are already are not happy with how the NFL UK is going and the London games are going, what we didn't need was coal for the fire. And this whole situation just adds so much coal to the fire that it's upsetting. This is meant to be a time for celebration for us as NFL fans, as UK NFL fans. Like you said, with the US fans coming over, it's a relationship that is very deep between the US and the UK. We've seen it with governments and stuff at the minute, but it's meant to be a time for celebration and for meeting new people, meeting fellow fans, and things like this just they just put a stain on it. And like, how glowing we talked about Dublin last week. How glowing we talked about the Germany games. How glowing will we maybe talk about the Madrid game at Bernabeu, which I think will be that'll be a very interesting one for me. If I attend, but whoever does attend, we're very different countries. We're all very different countries, but the ones that are hosting it, and they're in different areas. And you know, Tottenham needed that money from the NFL to be able to create it, and the fact that it is completely in where everyone lives, and there isn't, you know, ample amount of space for fan parks and stuff like that. And Wembley does have that, but then Wembley has the handcuffs of, which is not NFL UK's fault, by the way, of the drinking laws that the Wembley Council have within that jurisdiction. That has angered and upset people as well. It annoys me when I go and I completely forget. And some, you know, when I've been as a fan and having a beer on the street, and you're not like, because that's what these games are about. It's about a festival atmosphere. It's about a fun atmosphere. It's about a safe atmosphere as well. Because this is what happens as well, is this happens. And like you said, the anger happens and it becomes an unsafe environment. It becomes an unsafe environment. And that's, you know, a lot of children, a lot of people with disabilities and people that shouldn't, no one should be around violence. Of course they shouldn't, but that are more susceptible to that violence. And that's what's going to happen. People are intoxicated, people are upset, people are angry, people have spent a lot of money, people have come from miles, flown from miles to be at these events. And it just breaks my heart to see that that we've gone so full circle of the excitement of it all, the development of it all, back to sort of now at the beginning where we're like, well, what more now? We need more. And there's an unsatisfaction now, isn't there, with them just having the games?
Yeah, I mean, so one thing, you know, I was talking to a few people on Twitter when I was on the train coming back, and you know, and just they sort of said to me, "Oh, what do you think they should do?" Because and certain people came out with different ideas for things, and I know there was one person who came out and said that maybe it shouldn't be there for a year, and maybe if it wasn't there for a year, that would then bring some enthusiasm back to it from the country's point of view, or from the crowd's point of view over here, that they would be more interested. But obviously, you know, that's not going to happen, because why would you stop, you know, when you can just keep on making money, kind of thing. The one thing I would say, and there were clearly empty seats like that. This wasn't about people struggling to get in. All the way through the game, there were empty seats. Now, it wasn't not loads by any stretch, and there was what was it, 61,082? I think they said was the attendance. Now, you know, obviously that takes into account all the ticket touts that have not sold their tickets and stuff like that. And there were loads of tickets on different sites on Sunday morning, and there were tickets on Sunday morning that were for general sale, which is, I believe, the first time it's ever happened. And it's the first time that I've ever been to an NFL game and there's empty seats. I mean, there was empty seats next to us. And I think there's an element of pricing. The NFL have kind of priced themselves out a little bit. I think that there's just general anger, certainly from older fans who have been going for years as season ticket holders, and they've lost their season tickets. And there was someone I read that he had a Category 7 season ticket, and a couple of years ago, and it was like 88 quid for a ticket, and now it's 130. And that price increase is like, what, about 45% in 1 year. And then I think there's just an element of apathy, because you're getting not particularly great games. And it's reaching a point where I think there needs to be some sort of realization that if you are going to charge these sort of prices, then you can't keep throwing the New York Jets at us, and you can't keep throwing the Cleveland Browns at us. I know the Browns haven't been over quite as much, but do you know what I mean? You know, the Vikings have been over for 2 or 3 times in the last sort of like 3 or 4 years now. You've got to bring in some form of variety to it, and also some form of quality. And my angle, very much what I was saying last night and what I still believe, you're never going to get them to drop the prices. That's not how this works. No business does that. So what you need to do is you need to get better quality, and I think you need to kind of appeal to them and almost be like, look, we have 3 games. Let's make 2 of them and have the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Packers, the Lions, any of these teams. But you have to have 2, one going against the other one. And I understand that is, if you're an American fan, you're going, well, why do I miss out on one of the better games? And I completely get that. But when you are making the NFL become an international brand, a priority, which is what the NFL are doing, they need to do that a bit more. And unfortunately, I think unless the quality comes in, I think people are going to be unwilling to pay.
Yeah, it's definitely some interesting thoughts and food for thought. We'll be back after this message from our sponsor.
Have you ever dreamed of managing your favorite pro football team? Do you watch your team and think the GM got it wrong again? Do you think you could do better? Here's your chance to prove it. Introducing Ultra GM, a revolutionary new take on fantasy football that makes you the general manager of your favorite team. Start with the team's full roster and build it through the draft, free agency, trades, and even the practice squad to create your ideal team. No fantasy football platform or GM simulator has ever provided the degree of realism and engagement that Ultra GM offers. And none has ever given you the opportunity to manage the team that you love and care for most. Compete against family, friends, and even your team's real GM to see who is the Ultra GM. You think you can do better than your team's GM? Visit ultragm.com to prove it.
You know, when this quarterback got drafted for the Cleveland Browns, and that is Baker Mayfield, I didn't like any of it. I did not like him being a Brown. As a Steelers fan, I didn't think he was particularly good. It didn't feel... It was before I was very much into college, so that was probably unfair. I never really seen much of his gameplay, but I didn't see this transformational quarterback at all. Circle now what? He was drafted in what, 2016?
Mm-hmm.
Nearly 9 years later. And he could be the MVP of this league this year. And he is a joy to watch. A joy to watch. He is playing at an elite level that I think no one saw coming. No one saw coming. And I'm not talking 5 games. I'm talking the whole of last year. I'm talking this year so far. Baker Mayfield's going to lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the NFC Championship. I'm very, very certain of that at this point.
I think you're just happy he's not playing against the Steelers anymore. I mean, that's what it really is.
If this guy was in Cleveland, gee, it would be the best division in football. We'd have Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield at this elite level.
No, it wouldn't have been, would it? Because let's face it, he would never have developed.
No. But his journey's... I mean, they beat the Seattle Seahawks 38-35. Again, coming up against Sam Darnold, who's the number 2 pick or number 3 pick in that same draft, the Jets. Second or third. He was second or third. I'm pretty sure he was second, to be honest with you. But like 379 yards, 2 touchdowns. To be fair, Sky had an acca of 3+ touchdowns to 3 quarterbacks, and Baker was the one where we were like, oh, against Seattle's defense, like that could be a bit of a risky one. And I woke up this morning and texted him. I was like, mate, you were and the other 2 got 3+ touchdowns. I can't remember who they were on the top of my head, but it was for a big amount of money as well. I think it was coming in, 1,000+ that the winnings were, and he got done over by 1 touchdown, bless him. But I mean, I just think it's not even like his receivers are elite. Like Mike Evans has been out injured. Chris Godwin didn't start the year. Emeka Ibuka, a rookie, and everyone around the league said that this guy's a top level guy. I don't think everyone said he was a top level receiver, but he was a top level guy.
Yeah.
Tez Johnson, Cade Otton, a decent tight end, probably top 20 tight end. Sterling Shepard, a nobody now, really. And they've all been tight. I know they've been tight games, but most of their wins. But you're only in a game when you've got quarterback play like this. And I think they go to the NFC Championship. They are going to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a good chance of doing it. You have to think that they're going to win their division. They're the best team in that division quite comfortably. So they're going to get themselves, a home game in the divisional round. So, I mean, I suppose it depends who they end up coming up against. They could end up just like who's around that sort of level. I mean, you're probably going to be looking at the Packers could be one of them. It could be the Seahawks again. The Commanders could be one. Rams could be one. So there are some tough teams there, but you're going to be at home. So yeah, I mean, there's no reason why he can't lead them to it. I think they've still got a solid defense. I think that's the head coach, who I've completely forgotten his name.
Todd
Bowles has constantly had a solid defense all the time. He's been head coach there, and he's done really well with that. They've had to change offensive coordinators. He was great. He sort of had Baker kind of had that emergence, or the sort of came back under Dave Canales, continued under Liam Cohen. You've now got yourself another one. This is your third offensive coordinator in 3 years, and yet you're still doing as well as you are. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why they can't push themselves up to be in that NFC Championship game, and it's just going to be whether they crumble defensively. But all the time you've got someone like Baker who's able to have stats like he has, and 29 out of 33, 379 yards and 2 touchdowns. If he keeps doing that, I mean, it's difficult to go against. And we shouldn't be. I mean, Sam Darnold had a hell of a game as well. He was really, really good, and yet didn't win. And it just, I suppose, really, what this goes to show, and I know that that's not, we're mainly focusing on Baker, but I suppose what it goes to show is that just because it doesn't work at one team doesn't mean that your career's done. And it also shows that if you're a poorly run franchise, you're probably going to make poor decisions, and you're going to give up players like this.
And like I said, last year, third in yards, 4,500, second in touchdowns, 41. Did have 16 interceptions. He was third in first downs at 224. This year, he's already fourth in yards with 1,283, fourth in touchdowns with 10, fifth in yards per game, 256. He only had one pick as well.
Yeah.
So it's like this year's I need to be cleaner year. He gets sacked a lot. That's his game. And I'm okay with that. Lamar Jackson gets sacked a lot. That's his game. He takes risks. He holds onto the ball. He pushes the ball down the field, but he's sharp and he's precise. And to your point, we are rushing a lot of these quarterbacks at the minute, rushing them along, and they're in the wrong franchise. They're in the wrong game plan. They're with the wrong coordinators. And it doesn't mean they're done. It doesn't mean they should be done. And like you said, Sam Darnold was fantastic as well. It just shows. I mean, Darnold did great in Minnesota last year. We know that. But Baker was so out. I mean, he couldn't get the starting job in Carolina. He went and backed up in LA. He was down the pecking order as a backup in LA.
Well, Darnold couldn't get the starting job in Carolina either.
No one could. I mean, these poor Tampa. We forget that they were at Super Bowl just 5 minutes ago, it feels like, with Tom Brady, they won it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable team. A lot of movement since then. Not a lot of players still there, but we're our team. There's been movement.
That was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, 20,
yeah. So it's 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've moved. A lot of players have moved on.
Yeah, a lot of players moved on. Head coaches moved on. Bruce Arians isn't there anymore. I know Todd Bowles was the coordinator, wasn't he? Under Arians at the time.
Yeah,
but it just shows the patience you have to sometimes have. And this guy, like Baker, for all his said and worth, has never doubted his capability. I don't think he's ever doubted how good he is. And that's probably what made me really not like him, because I felt like he was cocky and brash and abrasive. And that's everything I don't really like in any NFL players. I prefer them to be a bit more buttoned up, quiet, a bit more leader on the field. But he's leading with bullshit. I mean, he is more disciplined, but he brings that attitude as well. And he brings that grit. And actually, it's turned into, he's sort of done the Dan Campbell thing where you can be shouty rah-rah and I can hate it or I can love it, because if you've got to do it in the right way, you've got to do it in the right way, and you've got to pick your moments. And I think Baker in the early days was not picking their moments, and now I think he picks them moments. And I think he has been smashed on a couple of hits this year, like ran over, got back up, shaked it off, laughed in their face, told them, did you use tickle me? You know, he's bringing, but that's an attitude. I think that's an attitude that not loads of players have. Some players do, and some players love it. And it's actually in a game now that is becoming more and more flags for big hits and for protection and stuff like that. He is a quarterback that's almost like, no, like, I'll take the hit and then I'm going to throw a bomb over your head and I'll wave at you and say, there's another touchdown for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think he's got everything that you need. I mean, look, out of anyone on this podcast, who is the one who keeps banging on about that you need to give quarterbacks a year to sit and actually learn? I mean, like, you know, I've been saying it for ages, and this isn't like a year, obviously, but it's just like, they need time. They all need time when they come out of college. It's a completely different game. And that seems to be something that I think a lot of people just do not understand. It is just such a different game compared to what the NFL is. And, you know, when you've got, like you say, I don't know, like 28, 29-year-old guys coming in at you full speed, you've got like Myles Garrett coming in at you, taking you out. You know, it's like, it's a completely different world to the guys they go up against in the college game. And it is different. Baker's been great, and I think that you're just seeing that he's ended up in the right circumstance, and he's ended up with the right coaching, as you've said, and it makes a difference. And, you know, hopefully he can keep it going and he can kick on and sort of push himself even further into the sort of like the list of quarterbacks and kind of put himself higher up. And because the thing is, at the moment, you know, everyone goes Mahomes, everyone goes Allen, everyone goes Lamar, Joe Burrow, obviously, as your top four. It's almost like there is no conversation. It's like they are the top four. But when you get past that, you know, I mean, Jalen Hurts is obviously included for like fifth, and you have other guys like Herbert who gets included, but I feel like Baker does deserve to be in that conversation, and he's sort of like, he's starting to bridge that gap into the top four, sort of it.
I think he is. He's in the top five for me at the minute. He's in the top five. Compared, you know, a lot of them guys for this year. A lot of them guys are injured.
Yeah, I mean, Burrow obviously injured, so you know, I mean, that's just what it is. But
there's a conversation. There's a conversation to be had that he's top five if everyone wasn't injured. You know, he is pulling this team to win, and he is doing it with style, with swagger, with perseverance, and with aggression. And I don't think Emeka Egbuka has been fantastic, but he's not got that elite talent around him. Mike Evans, I think, severely underrated, but no one would say he's a top 10. Some would say he's a top 10 wide receiver.
But he didn't play. He didn't play on Sunday.
He didn't play.
He's been out for 2 weeks.
Chris Godwin is way past his best. Way past his best. Tez Johnson, who's Tez Johnson?
Well, I mean, you know, you might have upset a few Duck fans there, but aside from that,
They can quack down the road for like K. Dot and top 20 tight end. That's not really that great.
Yeah,
he's not, and he's in the lower 20.
He's all right. He's solid, but he's not anything special.
And he's making it. Sterling Shepard, like what? Sterling Shepard's still knocking it. I mean, he didn't have a great game. He went for minus yards in this game, admittedly, but he has hit him on occasions this season and last season as well. So he's top 5. He's top 5. He's doing great work down there. And I think because the division is so poor, because of maybe the style of how he is playing, I think he gets missed out of that conversation a lot. And I think now is the time that you've really got to give him his flowers, to be honest. Let's get on to another quarterback, though, who has probably had the biggest win of his career in Drake Maye. Drake Maye, maybe. Do you see what I did there? Maybe. The future.
It's almost like you've been doing this for a while.
I know. Tell me about it. In fact, he's not even maybe the future. He is the future. This win. I mean, I watched on the way home. I love Rich Eisen and Chris Brockman's overreaction. I watch it every week. I love it. I think it's great. I even spoke to Chris about it at the Super Bowl about how good a show it is and who's the brainchild of it and everything like that. And one of them today was this is the biggest win for the Patriots in the post-Brady era. And I think you have to say it is. I think they obviously got to the playoffs with Mac Jones. But I think Drake Maye, I was very high on them all offseason saying that I thought this was a playoff team. I could even go as far to say now, looking at their schedule and the fact that wasn't it at the Bills as well?
Yeah.
They could win the division.
Interesting, right? So
look at their schedule. Look at their schedule.
Yeah. No. I'm kind of with you, but not quite. I kind of get what you're saying. I understand it. I have a slightly different angle.
Okay.
There will be an article coming out tomorrow at freebets.com. You always love it when I do a selfless plug. And it's a news article. I do it every week, and I have to come up with a story from the weekend's games. And I kind of went, well, I can't do the Vikings Browns. So I went for the Patriots because that's a massive win when you think about that, to go away to Buffalo. And they've done, Buffalo have been great for years, and the Patriots have done nothing really since Brady went, but certainly since Brady and Belichick went, they've done nothing. And I was sort of looking at it and just kind of having a look, and I get where you're coming from. The schedule is shockingly easy. Now they have got the remaining strength of schedule is the easiest by a long, long way.
To interrupt you, they are at the Saints, at the Titans, hosting the Browns, hosting the Falcons, at Tampa Bay. That's a test.
Yeah.
Against hosting the New York Jets, at Cincinnati, at the Giants, bye week 14.
Yeah.
They are then hosting the Bills, at Baltimore, at the Jets, and then hosting the Dolphins to close out the season.
Hosting the Bills and going away to the Ravens, because I think the Ravens will be fit then. In theory, they should. I mean, Lamar will be back for certain, so in theory, they should be better. They will be tough games for them. And as you say, the Buccaneers, going away to the Buccaneers will be a tough game. The rest of them are all 50-50s or winnable games. Like, they should get past most of them. They should beat the Saints. They should beat the Titans. They should beat the Browns. Falcons, I think, is a 50-50. Jets, they should beat. Bengals, they should beat. Giants, I think that's a bit of a 50-50. If you expect Jackson Dart to get a bit better.
They do have a history of coming back against the Falcons, to be fair.
Yeah, that is true. The Jets, again, should win that. Dolphins should win that. There's a lot of teams that they win. So here's my angle with it. And it is kind of a bit of a betting angle, but go with it. I know what you're saying about them. The Bills also have a tougher schedule. They've got to still play the Eagles, the Buccaneers, Steelers, and Chiefs, as well as going away to the Patriots. So they have got tougher games. However, the Bills, I think, are just one of them teams they can just turn it on and they can go on a run and get loads of wins. So you might end up losing out there. What I quite liked was for them to make the divisional round. I think that's very doable for the Patriots now, because I agree with you. When you look at the schedule and you go through it all, and you sort of think, okay, we'll take away the Buccaneers game, take away the Ravens game, take away the Bills game. Well, if they win everything else, it's 12-5. Now, even if the Bills go higher and win more, 12-5 is what?
That's taking you through.
5th seed?
Yeah.
Probably. You're going up against the best team or the winning team of the division from the worst record. So you're probably playing, I don't know who on the AFC. The way it is at the moment,
Texans, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, because the Colts. So maybe not. But you could be playing the Steelers.
Could play in the Chiefs or Chargers.
Could be playing,
or maybe
yeah,
Denver.
possible. There's a few.
West.
There's a few different ones, but in a bit of a 50-50 game, you've got a chance of getting to that divisional game. And I'm not going to say that you're miles off of it, because I do actually think they've got a good chance. They do have a chance of winning it. The Bills obviously are 4-1 at the moment, and the Patriots 3-2. But when you look at that schedule, you sort of think to yourself, on paper, you wouldn't be surprised if they won it.
I just don't think it's on paper. I think they are progressing in the right way. Yes, they need more talent at the wide receiver position. Definitely. Yeah. Still time to do that. Definitely still time to do that. Obviously, the biggest rumor going is that AJ Brown should be traded there, which feels a bit more likely after their loss to the Broncos, admittedly. But he's it's developing, and he's easily the best quarterback they've had since Brady. Easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. He's better than Cam Newton. He's better than Mac Jones. He's better than whoever else they've had. He's easily head and shoulders above that. It's just for him about developing. And for the Mike Vrabel to also be alongside that. They will do that. I have zero chance in my brain that he doesn't get a cleaner game, better game. I mean, that one where he got tackled and he flicked it out. I mean, some quarterbacks would do that, and it's a complete hospital pass for just gets shut down. But he has that wherewithal, and it's just about molding his game and developing him and adding some pieces. He's got the physique, he's got the IQ, he's got the guts. I think he's got that Baker Mayfield thing. I think he's got that aggression. I think he's got that standing. I will take the hit sort of thing. Sort of a little bit like his counterpart in the Bills. Really, he has got something special. And I think it's been a while that we've had a quarterback come out of college where 2-3 games in, you go, no, he's got it. He's got it. We're still wondering about it with Caleb. We're still wondering about it with Bryce Young. We're still wondering about it with Kyler Murray. He's got it. And I think that it factor and the way he's developing and that schedule, which is like you said, 12 wins, that's a fantastic record. Now it's going to take some luck, and their defense I think does need to keep improving, and I think it will keep improving. But the most important thing for them is to keep them in games. Drake Maye does that every game, it feels like, for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think, as you say, he has that sort of build and strength about him, and and the sort of willingness to get hit and carry on and just keep going. I think that's what's really important that a lot of people don't see. He's also got the rushing ability. That's another thing that was incredibly underrated. I remember when me and Andrew were going through the draft and we were talking about the 24 quarterback class, and you know, you see Caleb Williams running around like anything at college, and Jaden Daniels obviously has that rushing ability. Drake Maye, he never sort of, it wasn't anything that kind of really got flagged up much, but it was like you could see that he had that in him, and there were times when he did. You know, he's rushed in 2 touchdowns this season already, so he's not going to be the most. You know, he's not going to be Jaden Daniels. He's not going to be Jalen Hurts when it comes to the rushing. He won't be like that, but he will be like Josh Allen with the rushing, and he will be like, to a certain extent, Baker Mayfield with the rushing. You know, he has that ability.
He'll tuck and go. He'll tuck and
Yeah,
go.
so if he needs to, and actually, what was really nice to see, and I know this is a different thing, but with the Chargers, Justin Herbert rushing more, you know, that's something that he never did. But he and because they've got that frame and that strength behind them, they can do that and get away with it, and it's not a problem. So yeah, it's really nice that he's got that. So he's literally got every attribute that is needed in order to be able to do this. He also has the highest pass completion percentage rate so far this season, and that's huge as well, because it basically means not only is he accurate, but he's making sure that he's not putting the ball in danger, and that's the really important thing with him. And I think, you know, you're right that it's something that we sort of flagged up at the beginning of the season, with Mike Vrabel coming in there, easily one of the best candidates for Coach of the Year, because of just the sheer difference between last year and how well they could potentially do. And I think that you're kind of seeing that with Drake Maye as well. It's just the development from him, and it's just some quarterbacks have got it from day one, and you can see, and some they just need time. And in fairness to Maye, from day one, and when he was at UNC, he was really, really good. And you could see that he had the potential to really do something. And I think that now you've got someone like Vrabel there, who is going to fight for him for all the time, constantly push him, and is going to love everything he's doing. I think you're going to see just a really good quarterback develop. And it's so annoying that the Patriots have sodding gone and got another one. And I know I'm a Packers fan, so I can't really complain. But it's like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
We needed a few more years of mediocrity from them before this, because they genuinely could be playoff contenders here and could sort of like push on. And that's annoying to me, because, you know, they've had more than enough success.
Well, more success, I think, is going to be coming from the New England Patriots. Adam, thank you very much for joining me this evening, and thank you for everybody and anybody.
Just anyone, really.
Just anyone, really, for listening or watching. Make sure you check out us on our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and check us out on our social media platforms as well. Make sure you give us a follow. And obviously on any podcast platforms, make sure you subscribe to us as well. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you again very soon.